Hey, hello, 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 hello. It is A'Tondra Vinchealle, keeper of the Mermaid's wisdom and your feminine guide to total health and wellness. If this is your first time watching me live, catching any of my videos, hanging out with me in any way, again, I am A'Tondra Vinchealle, the founder of themermaidswisdom.com. And I open and create space for women to reclaim our time, our bodies, and our feminine essence. So if you are hopping on, say hi. Let me know who you are. Let me know where you are watching from. It's always a pleasure to meet new people. And if you're not new and you've been hanging out with me already, still pop in and say hi. Let me know who you are and that you're watching me. I enjoy meeting new people, and I also really, really enjoy hanging out with the people who hang out with me all the time on this platform. So, what are we talking about today? Okay, so for those of you all who may not know me, I am as far as Tai Chi is concerned, I do practice Tai Chi. And I am a student of Master Fundi Fe. If you don't know who she is an amazing woman. She is a Hall of Famer. She's a woman, and she's a Hall of Famer in Tai Chi. And I call her Master Fe, but she's actually a Grand Master, which means that she is a master who has helped to produce a master who has produced a master, if that makes sense. So she is a grand master. And so she started holding online Tai Chi classes, which is really, really, really amazing. And so I tagged her in this video. So if you are interested in those classes, please click on that tag and reach out to her. It's an amazing, amazing thing. What I wanted to talk about are some of the invitations that I received during this morning's Tai Chi class. One of the things that I wanted to talk about was about how no matter how far you go, and no matter how much you elevate or ascend, or whatever the language is that you would prefer to use, you will always need your teachers. You will always need your teachers. You will always need your teachers in one capacity or another. And I think that's really important because we live in this popcorn microwave society, right? And there's this tendency to, I used to call it dip in and dip out, right? Like you dip in, you get what you need, and then you completely dip out. And as you're dipping in and dipping out, you're not really honoring the student-teacher relationship. You're not really honoring that, right? By the way, if you are hopping on to this video, please share. Sharing is caring. Thank you so much. So please share this video, because if it helps you, I know that it'll help some other people in your audience as well. So anyway, there's this lack of respect for the student-teacher relationship, right? Because we treat our life teachers, or we have a tendency, or many people have a tendency to treat their life teachers the way you taught your teachers or the way you treated your teachers in elementary school or middle school, right? Like you go to school, you go to the classes, and then when the classes are over, you don't need the teacher anymore. So you don't keep up with the teacher anymore. You don't write, you don't send messages, right? Like you just move on. You move from elementary school to middle school. And then when you're done with your middle school teachers, you go into high school. And then when you're done with your high school teachers, if you decide to move into college, and so on and so forth, right? But there is a potency and a beauty and a message for you that lies in the honoring of that sacred student-teacher relationship. Because as you begin to evolve, your teacher is always evolving as well. And so if you respect the student-teacher relationship, there are benefits and giftings that come along with honoring and paying homage to your teacher and respecting that student-teacher relationship, right? Because when it comes to your life experiences, when it comes to the things that change you on a metaphysical level, on an energetic level, this is lifetime work. This is a lifetime work. And so because this is a lifetime work, then it should be a lifetime relationship. Because again, as you evolve, obviously your teachers are going to be evolving as well. And I say that because during Tai Chi classes this morning, I realized, so today was the first, in this particular series, today was the first class. And so what she did was she went through the first 7 forms. And I have taken Tai Chi with her several times, and we have gone through these first 7 forms. I've gone through this with her on multiple occasions in different situations. And every single time we go through the first 7 forms, right, there's always something different. There's always something that is added to the meditative experience that I have when practicing Tai Chi. And as many times as I have practiced with her and have learned from her and have taken classes from her, every single time we go through the first 7 forms, not even anything outside of that, not even anything after that, every time we go through the first 7 forms, I learn something completely different because she teaches something completely different because she is also evolving. And so because I respect and I honor that relationship, right? Because I respect that relationship, I honor that relationship. And in that respect and in that honoring of that relationship, as she begins to evolve in her practice and in her energy, I get to receive the benefits of that. What we learned today, she taught us a flow today. A loop today is what she called it. She taught us a loop today. And in doing that loop over and over and over again, it was one of the most beautiful, active, meditative experiences that I have ever had. And in the years that I have taken classes from her, she has never, until this morning, when she was teaching the class online, she has never taught me that loop. And so it's important to understand that no matter how far you evolve or how far you ascend, it is important, even to this day, like there may be stretches of times where I'm not actively continuing to take Tai Chi from her, right? Like, so there may be times where, for a specific block of time, I'm actively taking classes. I'm going to class or I'm showing up online. And then there may be blocks of time where I'm not taking the classes. But even in those blocks of time when I'm not taking the classes, I'm still utilizing the other principles and I'm still respecting that relationship. I don't call her Fundi Fe. I don't call her Sister Fundi Fe. I continue to call her Master Fundi Fe because that is the respect for the student-teacher relationship that we have. And because I continue to respect that and honor that, I continue to be a beneficiary of her evolution as well. Right? So the other thing that we did this morning in class was she does what's called horse stance blitzes. And if you have never done a horse stance blitz, I don't care. And remember, I used to be a bodybuilder. I don't care what kind of weight you're used to pushing on the leg press machine. I don't care how much you squat. I don't care, you know, how many lunges you can do around the racetrack. If you have never felt a fire in your quads, in your thighs, in your muscles, you've never felt real fire until you have done a horse stance blitz. If you don't know what horse stance is, look it up. It's you know, in form 4 and 7 in Tai Chi. They're the exact same thing, horse stance. Okay, so she does these horse stance blitzes, and so we have to remain in horse stance for today she did 1 minute. Okay, for 1 minute. Now, what happens when you get into horse stance is you know, when you first get into horse stance, you're like, okay, this is different. May not necessarily be comfortable, but this is different, but I can do this. After the first 15 seconds, you're feeling pretty confident. You're like, okay, you know, I think I can do this. I think I can continue. By the time you hit 30 seconds, you start to question whether or not this is, you start to question whether or not you made a good decision about entering this class. Okay, because that's when you really start to feel the fire. That's where you really start to feel the fire. And what happens a lot of times is somewhere between 30 and 45 seconds. I remember when I first started doing the horse stance blitzes with her, when I first became one of her students, somewhere between 30 to 45 seconds, I would always stand up and wiggle or do something, find some kind of way to get out of the horse stance. And I remember one practice, I went to her home and I was learning in her home. And around that 35 second mark, when it really started to burn and I started to shake and I was just super just in pain and uncomfortable, she asked me to go deeper. So what she said was, instead of coming out of horse stance, go deeper into horse stance when it hurts. And I was like, man, you know, and you know, this is Master Fee, right? So you're never going to say this out loud, right? You're not going to say this out loud. But I remember in my head, like, man, this is some bullshit. Okay. But what happens, and it's very counterintuitive, right? It's very counterintuitive, because what happens is when you take that pain as an invitation to go deeper, you actually buy yourself more time and you end up gaining more stamina. And what I started to find out was that if around the 35 second mark, I stood up out of horse stance to wiggle and shake myself off and then went back down into horse stance to finish off the rest of the time, it was more challenging. This is so counterintuitive, right? Because I stood up because I'm in pain and this is uncomfortable. Oh my God, like my legs are on fire. And this is like, what the hell is this shit? You know, why do I keep showing up for this? Because this is voluntary and I keep doing this to myself. It's very counterintuitive, but it was interesting because whenever I stood up to shake myself, to give myself a couple of seconds of a break, it was so much harder for me to get back down into horse stance. And I ended up actually in more pain by the end of that 1 minute time frame than I did when I took the pain and the discomfort as an invitation to sink deeper into horse stance. Okay. All right, A'Tondra. Horse stance. Horse stance blitz. What the hell does this have to do with the price of tea in China? First of all, if you understood economics, you would understand that the price of tea in China has a lot to do with a lot of things, but that's a completely different conversation. If you don't know what I'm talking about, read the book, A History of the World in Six Glasses. That's the name of the book, A History of the World in Six Glasses. If you read that book, the next time somebody asks you, what the hell does that have to do with the price of tea in China? You will look at that question and understand that question on a completely different level, right? So what the hell does this have to do with the price of tea in China? Okay. There are many times that we will begin a journey or a practice or a study. And in the beginning of the practice, in the beginning of the study, okay, it's exciting and it's great because it's a new thing. Right? It's a new thing. Like it's totally new. You know, you start a new school, you start a new course, you start a new program. You may start a new spiritual practice. You may start something new, right? In the beginning, it's exciting, right? Like it's, oh my God, this is amazing. And I haven't done this before. And this is so awesome. And you're running off of this sort of like adrenaline type of excitements and this high associated with beginning this new thing, right? And then what begins to happen is somewhere around the 30-second mark. Now, mind you, in this conversation, in this context, the 30-second mark is relative, right? But somewhere around the 30-second mark, you really start to question whether or not this is something that you even want to do, whether or not this is even something that you should have started, right? Like you start meditating, and when you first start meditating, oh my God, like it's so exciting. Like I'm meditating and I got all my stuff and I'm doing all the things, right? And then one day you go in to meditate and you don't feel anything. Hey there, Rachel. You go into meditate and you don't feel anything, right? You don't feel anything. You don't feel the ascension. You don't feel the love. You know, you don't feel the thing, you know, you don't feel anything. And you're like, oh my God, like, why am I doing this? And you go back and you meditate again and you don't feel anything. It's like, oh my God, this is some bullshit. Maybe I shouldn't even be doing this. Like, this sucks. Like, I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, why can't I feel the thing? Like, why doesn't this feel good? Oh my God, like this hurts. Right? And what a lot of people have a tendency to do is they have a tendency right there at the 30-second mark to step out. You know what? I'm going to take some time off. Okay. I'm going to take some time off. I'm going to get myself together. Okay. I'm going to get it all together. And then when it's together, right? And I'm stronger and I'm more mature and, you know, I can handle it, then I'll come back and I'll do it. Right. So you start the thing and you get to the 30-second mark and you're like, oh, this is hard. It hurts. It doesn't feel good. I'm going to step out, get myself together. Hey, Elaine. I'm going to step out and get myself together, and then I'll hop back in when I've gotten it together. And so what tends to happen with that kind of mentality is one or two things begin to happen. Either you step out of it and you end up never coming back to it, because here's the thing. The further you get away from the thing, the harder it is to get back to the thing. The further away you get from a thing, the harder it is to get back to the thing. It becomes one of those out of sight, out of mind types of situations. The further you get away from it, the more difficult it is for you to get back to it. So one or two things happens. Either you end up just not ever coming back to it, or you end up in this cycle where you are constantly starting, stopping, and starting over again, starting, stopping, and starting over again, starting, stopping, and starting over again, not understanding that even though you decide to stop doing a thing, the energy associated with that thing continues to evolve, right? So for example, let's say you were going to school for a certain thing and you're like, I'm gonna stop and then, I'll come back. What happens is whatever it is that you were studying, whatever it is that was going on, continues to evolve even after you have decided that you are going to take a step back to get yourself together. And so you end up in this start, stop, start over. And then what happens is when you come back to start over, the thing has evolved, and it's not as easy for you to recognize, and it's not as easy for you to integrate now, right? So the thing that you thought was hard when you started and you stopped the first time, now actually is even more difficult because it has evolved since you took your time off. And so you're in this loop. You're in this loop of starting and stopping and starting over, starting, stopping, and starting over. And what happens is you're never actually moving forward. And then there's a frustration and an anxiety that comes along with, because now what happens is you start, you stop, you start over. And now there's this fear of time. Time is running out. I'm not getting any younger. I'm getting older every single day. I may be getting too old for this, or maybe there's not enough time for me to complete this mission, or maybe there's not enough time. You know, if I had done this when I was 20, if I had done this when I was 25, I would already be finished by now. So there's this anxiety and there's this difficulty and there's this self-judgment, right? Because the thing that you keep stepping away from and coming back to is continuing to evolve without you, regardless of what your personal decision is. And so what came to me during this meditation, during my Tai Chi class and during my practice, is that instead of looking at the pain, right? Because if there is a lesson that you must learn or a thing that you must do, it will continue to come back to you over and over and over and over until you have learned it or until you have done it. It will continue to show up. And if you don't get it in one area of your life, it will show up in another area of your life. If you don't get it in your relationship with self, then it'll show up in your relationships with your family. And if you don't get it in your relationships with your family, then it'll show up in your finances. And then if you don't get it in your finances, then it will show up in your health. If you don't get the lesson or do the thing or follow, if you don't have the follow through, it will continue to show up over and over and over and over until you get it. Okay, well, thank you for hopping in. Until you get it. And so instead of looking at the invitation as or looking at the pain as your invitation to dip out, maybe begin looking at the pain and the discomfort as an invitation to go deeper. As an invitation to go deeper. As an invitation to go deeper. And you go deeper and deeper, and you begin to understand the vastness of the thing. You begin to understand the vastness of the practice, and there are things that will open up for you. There are things that will open up for you. There are gateways, there are opportunities, there are portals, there are things that will open up for you as you begin to go deeper instead of running away from the thing. It's like giving childbirth, right? So I gave birth to 4 children, okay? What happens in childbirth for those who have never, I had vaginal births, okay? If you've never experienced that, okay? You may hear about the contractions, right? And so they come, and then there's some time in between, like extended time in between. You know, sometimes it's 10, 20 minutes. And then they start to come closer and closer together, right? And then there's 5 minutes, and then there's 2 minutes. Blessings, love. There's 2 minutes, and then there's 1 minute. And so what happens is there's this buildup, and it's uncomfortable, and you don't know what's happening, and you cannot control it. You cannot control it, right? You cannot control it, which is one of it's one of the issues. It's one of the issues, right? Like my my spiritual teacher now, Mama Namaste Moore, she said when she used to be a doula, she would see that all the time with women, and as contractions would become closer and the pain would get greater, it was because they weren't willing to release control, and they were trying to control everything, right? But you can't control it, right? That's not something that you get to control. You can't control that. But as the contractions are coming, and there's more pain, and there's more pain, and there's a deeper pain, understand that in this childbirth experience, the pain is not an invitation for mommy to check out, right? It's not an invitation for mommy to say, you know what, I'm not going to do this now. I'm going to come back and do this 3 months from now, because if mommy decides that she's going to check out, then baby doesn't come out, baby dies. And so what happens in childbirth, with in having my children and in feeling those contractions, you have to understand that the pain is an invitation to go deeper. And so whenever I felt more pain, I breathed deeper, and then I would feel more pain, and then I would breathe deeper, and I would feel more pain, and I would take in a deeper breath, and I would breathe deeper and deeper, and I got deeper and deeper and deeper into that experience until before you know it, here was my baby. Here was my baby. The reality of the situation was the pain is an invitation to go deeper. It's not necessarily an invitation to stop and begin the loop. Now, obviously we are human beings, and human beings have free will, right? And so we have the right to do whatever it is that we want to do, right? Like, we have that right. We have that right to do whatever it is that we want to do. But as I say to my children all the time, as I tell my children, understand that as you are an autonomous being, yes, and you do have the right and the freedom to do what it is that you want to do, but understand that everything that you do comes with its own set of consequences, whether desirable for you or undesirable for you. And so I just wanted to share that invitation with you this morning. An invitation for you to look at the pain and for you to look at the discomfort. If you are in a meditative practice, or if you are in a spiritual practice, or if you are taking classes and it's feeling difficult, that is an invitation for you to go deeper in your studies. That's an invitation for you to go deeper in your practice. The pain now becomes an invitation for you to go deeper, and not something for you to be afraid of. So there it is. I just wanted to invite you to that today. It was a beautiful lesson, a delicious lesson. It was something that blessed me. And so I definitely hope that it will bless you as well. Yeah, that's it. That's it. I am, oh, you're welcome, Elaine. You're welcome, beautiful. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. That is what I have. That is what I have for you. For those who are interested, I am finishing up the first collective meditative practice that I am going to host for the Sisters of the Mermaid's Lair. It's going to be a beautiful experience. It starts on September the 16th. Totally complimentary experience. If you are interested in that experience, I invite you to go to my website at www.themermaidswisdom.com /Yoni, YONITM. www.themermaidswisdom.com /Yoni, YoniTM. If you would like to be a part of that meditative experience, that collective meditative experience, that collective feminine meditative experience, then go to that site, take a look at it, read about it, and if it resonates with you, then go ahead and sign up for that. And then through signing up for the meditative practice, which is going to be a 5-day meditative practice, you will also receive an invitation to our sacred incubator space, which is the SIS. I call it the SIS. It's our private group for the Sisters of the Mermaid's Lair. You can find information on that at www.themermaidswisdom.com/sister group if you just want to know what that's about. So there's 2 websites for you, 2 points of entry, 2 portals of entry for you, 2 invitations for you to join us and to be held and to be supported and to be loved on by sisters who are seeking the same type of total feminine wellness that you may be looking for. Okay, so again, the meditative experience is at www.themermaidswisdom.com/YoniTM, so Yoni TM, where you can read about the Yoni T meditation, which is our first collective feminine meditative experience. And if you'd like to learn more about the Sisters of the Mermaid's Lair, you can visit themermaidswisdom.com/sister group. Okay, so I thank you so much. I certainly appreciate your time and your attention and your shares and your hearts. I always love and appreciate your time and attention, and I never, ever take that for granted. So thank you so very much for being open and receptive to what it is that I have to share with you. And that's it. I'm out of here. So I love you all. And I wish you all of the joy and peace and passion and pleasure and ease and flow that you can accept into your own life. Love you and thank you. Bye-bye.